want to congratulate you on being inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight. How's it feel?
It feels wonderful, really better than I dreamed of. As the weeks and days have gone by and we got closer to this moment, it has just been growing, the feeling, and just how special this really is. When they announced the Hall of Fame, you wonder, well, how big can it become and what is it all about? You knew it's going to be very special, but it's been more special than I dreamed of. And to have my family here tonight, I think that was the best part as far as I'm concerned, and have Glenn, Dale, and Patty to do the induction and have all the grandchildren here. That was very special for me too.
Questions now for Ned. If you have one, raise your hand. Got about 3 or 4 right on this side right here. We'll hit those.
And then Paul Fogelman with the Hickory Daily Record. Can you talk about 2 questions really? The whirlwind has kind of been for you with the last 2 weeks between your son's inductions in the 2 Hall of Fames, yours here, and a little bit more about kind of your 2-pronged career, both the racing as well as the broadcasting, and how, you know, that's kind of unique of all the people who've gone into the Hall. You're the first one that's kind of got that 2 or really 3-pronged career that's going in.
Well, it's special for me to have gone in, not just because of my driving career, but including the other things that I did in sport, the broadcasting career that I was able to do, and promoting races. And I appreciate all of that being brought out here now. And to have this to happen just after Dale has gotten inducted into 2 Hall of Fames this month, the NMPA Hall of Fame earlier in the year, that has been very special to us. And then to have the City of Hickory to recognize us. Today was Ned and Dale Jarrett Day in Hickory, and the City of Conover, where we lived for so many years, to have a special moment during their council meeting and present us with the key to the city, and to have the total support that we've had in the community over the years is very meaningful. And to get this honor, it's not just about me. It's about the family, and it's about all the people that we've been privileged to be associated with over the years. That's allowed us to be a part of some very good things, whether it's charity work or driving race cars or talking about it on television or whatever it is, and to have the communities behind us the way that they've been. I sincerely appreciate that. And we had a good contingent that came down here from Catawba County tonight, and that really meant a lot to me.
Bud Moore has joined us. Bud, congratulations. Congratulations on getting inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, Bud. Your thoughts about that?
Well, there's one thing, you know, it's a great honor to be inducted here in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to say it's one of the biggest honors I've ever had in all this. And as far as my racing career, I had a lot of big honors and all when I was racing, winning championships, winning the Daytona 500. One thing, a big honor I had with myself was getting back to World War II. The good Lord looked after me while I was over there and got me back. So that was a very, very big honor. But I think right now the biggest honor I've had so far is just being inducted today with Hall of Fame with Ned Jarrett, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, and Lee Petty. That is a very, very big honor for all 4 of us, just 5 of us that's going in. And I'm really thrilled, you know, to know that I'm taking part in it and all this. And you have to give Buzz and Winston and all the girls that's worked with here today and all the past week or 2 a big hand, because they've done a wonderful job of getting things handled.
Okay, we'll take some questions now for either Bud or Ned. Go ahead, right here.
Kenny Bruce with SingData.com. I was going to ask Ned this, but I'll throw it open to both of you. When NASCAR announced, you know, that they were going to build the Hall of Fame and bring it here to Charlotte, did either one of you think about, you know, when you might go in or if you might go in?
Well, you know, when we've done the voting and all this, you know, and I was introduced, you know, by Jim French, you know, in the voting panel and all this. And when we got in, you know, and all the votes were counted and all, and then Brian French got on the stage and he called out all the 4 that And he stood there and he hesitated for about 10 or 12 seconds before he called my name. And then when all of a sudden he said, well, it's going to be Bud Moore. And I like to fainted then, I'll tell you that, because I didn't expect to be going in after he'd already named 4. And I was real proud to know that I was named to go in with Ned Jarrett, Buddy, Bobby Allison, David Pearson, Lee Petty and all. And it was great, and I couldn't talk for about 10 or 15 minutes because I was so proud to know that I was one of them to go. And I think Ned, you probably had the same situation.
Yeah, I did give some thought to when it was announced that there would be a Hall of Fame. Well, is there a chance that I'll get in? How far down the ladder will I be? And you look at all the great names and all the great people who've done so much for the sport of auto racing over the years. And I thought that it would be sort of sized it up when it was announced that maybe I would be 15th to 20th, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then after they announced the original 25 nominees, and I was among those, then my hopes got a little bit higher, but I still thought that it would be at least in the 3rd class before I would have much of a chance of getting in. And then to get in the 2nd round was really a pleasant surprise for me, and one that I'm very appreciative of.
Come down. Okay, let's go Reed, and let's come down here to Nate. Go ahead, Reed.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. This one's for Bud. Of all the great drivers that you worked with over the years, whom did you enjoy working with the most, and who gave you the most trouble?
Is that for me?
That's for you.
Well, you say who I enjoyed working the most for, and I'd say this, is I never had a driver that I didn't really love to work for, and all this, we all got along real well. And I enjoyed working with Dale Earnhardt Sr. for the couple of years he drove for me, and a lot of the other drivers. I had a good relationship with Bobby Allison for 3 years, and Jeff Bodine, I'd say he was awful good. I mean, he was a little bit hard to get along with at times, but we won a lot of races and all this, but still, we got along real well. And biggest thing, you know, is we had so many drivers drive for me and all this, and I was real thrilled to have all of them that did drive for me. And it's one thing, I don't know why Ned never did get to drive for me at one time or another, but
I wasn't asking.
But anyway, it's a great honor, you know, knowing all the guys that drove for me and how we worked together. And the biggest thing, you know, is like I told Buddy Baker, you know, when he was driving for me, and he'd get on me about because he didn't get to qualify too good. I said, Buddy, the only thing I tell you, I come down here to win the race. I didn't come down here to qualify good. I said, the only thing on Monday morning, they don't say a word about who qualified word, they just tell you who won the race, and that's what we're here for.
Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Both Richard Petty and David Pearson were pretty adamant tonight about saying that the next class should include more of the pioneers, the founders of the sport, and David Pearson in particular said it should include guys who are still living. How do both of you feel about that? Who do you think should be in the next class? Who should we be looking at next?
I'm having a hard time.
He wanted to know, he said Richard and David both said tonight that if they thought that next year's class or the next few classes should really take a look at honoring the pioneers of the sport. And Nate's question was, do you agree with that, and who do you think maybe should be in the next couple of classes?
There's so many great ones out there. I think that Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough will have a good shot at getting in the next time. But Cotton Owens is a guy that I feel needs to go in there quickly. Dale Inman, of course, was nominated last year, and I think he's a man that needs to go in there. And I think we need to start looking too at guys like Richie Evans and Jack Ingram, who've done so much in their divisions that they raced in. And so there's certainly a lot. It's going to be a tough assignment when we get together next month to vote for the next class. It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about that. And I've always been a big fan of Herb Thomas, and he certainly has the numbers to back up being a legitimate candidate in the Hall of Fame.
I think one of the oldest ones we don't want to leave out on this, Ned, and that's Raymond Parks. I mean, you know, he died last June, and he was really hoping he would have got in on the first round. And I think he come out here doing it, and I don't think we need to overlook him in this next round. And you got Cotton Owens. He was the one that, with me and Joe Eubanks, that helped France get NASCAR started in 1947. And I think he'd be deserving to be going in. He won 2 championships, and he talked to David Pearson. He drove for him about 3 years, and I think that Owens, being a driver like he was and all, and him and Pearson, they learned quite a bit together and all this. And you got Herb Thomas, Fireball Roberts. You got quite a few back there that you got to look at. And one I want to really bring up real close. He drove for me for 3 or 4 years. Won 2 championships. We don't want to overlook Joe Wedley because he was always the clown of NASCAR, and Ned knows this. With all the stunts he always pulled on everybody, and the biggest stunts he always liked to pull on is Turner. And him and Turner was always on hit one another all the time. But anyway, he was a heck of a race driver, and I really enjoyed having him, and with all the stuff he did do. And winning the championships and all the races we won, it was great. And I'm hoping he's got a good shot to go in on the next round.
Okay, let's go to Jay, right over here. Question? Jay, raise your hand, please, and then we'll go to Ben.
Jay Pennell with All Left Turn. It's for you, but could you talk about what you did prior to World War II and how that massive event changed your life?
But the question is what you did prior to World War II, and then how being in World War II changed your life.
Well, you know, the biggest thing about World War II, I just turned 18 years old on May the 25th, 1943, and was just graduating high school, because we only went 11 grades back then. And we graduated on June the 2nd, and that same day I got my draft paper to go into the service, and I got drafted and all this, and I went in and I was in the infantry, and they gave me 13 weeks basic training, and they sent me out of Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi, and had a 7-day delayed furlough on the way to Fort Dix, New Jersey. I joined the 90th Infantry Division in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and it was something other than know what was happening and all this stuff. And when we went overseas, we got over in England and all this, and we landed in Liverpool on the way over and went to a little town called Knighton, Wales. And we was there, we got there about March the 25th or 26th in 1944. And they told us, you know, they had to get things ready. We were going to make a dry run on the English coast, and they had us to waterproof all the Jeeps we had in our company and all this, because I was in heavy weapons company, water-cooled machine guns. And they done all this, and then they took us down and put us on this LCI, and we sat there for a day or so, and not even going out in the harbor. And finally, when we did pull out from there and got out into the harbor, I never seen the like of ships. Man, there must have been 5,000 or 6,000 just far as you could see. And we and the guy, we said, look, this ain't gonna be no dry run now. They can't have no dry run this big. But anyway, on June the 4th, there's a PT boat pulled up beside, got on board and had a map, pulled it down, and said, we're gonna do this, we're gonna land here, we're gonna do that. And that's when the first time we knew we was gonna be in D-Day, because it was gonna be on June the 5th. Then they called it off, and then about 8:30, 9 o'clock the next evening on June the 5th, they came back aboard and said, boys, it's going to be on tomorrow. So it was, and that was some kind of experience, I'll tell you that. It was bad.
Got time for maybe